Usually, big things begin with one small step in life. In this video, I'm going to share with you my farming story. I know I've talked a lot about poultry farming, how I do this or that, but in this video, I intentionally want to tell you how I became a poultry farmer and basically a farmer generally. My name is Asperia. If you're watching me for the very first time, this is my YouTube channel. Subscribe, join, and let's grow together. I'm a passionate poultry farmer, very passionate. I love poultry farming with all my heart, and it's something that I treasure so much. Now, before I brought these hens, I had always wanted to be a farmer. I did a lot of research about piggery, dairy farming, and my heart could not lead me to any other venture except poultry farming. And this is why I'm here to share with you. Sometimes you could be going through a lot, you are having money, you have your capital, but you sit down and ask yourself, what can I do? Or what can I invest in? Or what is my calling as a person? What is my calling? Where can I invest my money? If you want to grow in any aspect of any area of life, do not rush. It is always okay to take your time, do research, try here and there, and then you'll be able to make a decision on what you're going to do. So on my journey to becoming a poultry farmer, I started I started rearing some birds. I started with turkeys. I loved turkeys really much, because they are beautiful, they are big, and when you sell them you get good money in just one turkey. You can get big money out of them, especially if you take very good care of them very well. And so I started with that turkey, and of course before that I had been praying, really praying that God would lead me to a certain thing that would give me peace, and I would invest in that money and be able to work from home, be able to get something. And so I started with turkey, and this is how I got the turkey. And so someone had a problem, and they sold me their turkey, and this turkey had close to 12, actually there were 13 eggs, and so it was already hatching. So it was remaining with about 12 days for those eggs to hatch into chicks. And so I I took the turkey plus her eggs, and so I brought them to my place. And so I nursed them, took care of the hair of the turkey, and after that it gave birth. The eggs hatched into 12 live turkeys. I was very excited, very happy, because I knew now my farming journey has begun. Of course, I had no idea how things are going to be, and of course people scared me a lot. Turkeys are very hard, they're going to die once they make a month. These baby chicks are going to die, and everyone had an opinion. But in my heart I'm like, no, I'm going to try. And so I bought food and bought some feeders. I started feeding these young turkey chicks. And so time goes on and they grow, and accidentally one of them dies, and I remained with 11. These turkeys were growing up very nicely. The mother was very good, and out of those ones I realized there were only 2 female, and the 9 of them were male turkeys. And I was very happy, because you know how male turkeys look like when they're in your compound. They look really big, and that was my dream coming true. And so I cared for them, and they grew. They became very big. Along the way, someone also came and told me they had some turkeys and they needed some money, some quick urgent money. And I also bought, and this mother turkey also came and gave birth. So they kept on multiplying until I had close to 70 turkeys at my home, and I was very excited. I didn't even ever want to sell one, because just their beauty alone would melt my heart. When I would see them move around my compound, I felt like, wow, this is an answered prayer. But then as time went on, after a certain period, close to a year, they became really big and my space could not be able to accommodate them. They started producing, I started eating the eggs, I started selling the eggs, and one egg I would sell it at 1,000 Uganda shillings, and that was really fun. And people loved the turkey eggs because being that they were locally grown, they were a local breed, and so the eggs were tasty, very big and nutritious, so people loved. But of course the female turkeys were fewer, so I could take time, to make a tray. But that was really interesting. And so after that, I started also growing vegetables around my home. And so I started bringing vegetables of different types. And along the way, I discovered that turkeys and vegetables are really, really serious enemies, because turkeys will eat everything green in your compound. They just love vegetables. So they started eating my vegetables, and yet I also loved the vegetables. I was like, wow, I need, to see how I can balance. With the local turkeys, it's very hard to keep them indoors because they always want to move out. They're not used to laying inside, so you have to, be patient with them. And so this is what I did. I had to set off the turkeys and plan on what next to do. So I, priced the turkeys and sold them at a very good amount of money, being that it was a big number. And yeah, I got some good money out of them. And so after that, I now planned on bringing the hens. We started building, we started, planning, but I had a lot of fear. How am I going to do this? How am I going to manage the day old? I had looked at the stories of how farmers have made losses. I was like, God help me. I just love poultry, but I want birds that I can keep indoor. They can lay eggs. I get some money on a daily, and then I'd be able to also grow my vegetables for my home consumption and also my entire community, because I do sell the vegetables as well. And so we did the house, and if you watched my previous video, I shared with you that this house took around 1 full year without being occupied. Like, we didn't bring the birds, we were very scared, but through that period, I took time to learn, to take a study about lighting, about breeding, about feeding, about everything to do with poultry farming. And by the time I brought these hens, I had knowledge about everything that I'm supposed to do on the farm. And so just like that, I started my farming journey. And so I brought 120 birds. The first batch was 120 birds, and I wanted to see. Of course, this house could accommodate close to 300, but I was like, no, I can't start that big. It needs a lot of money. They're going to eat a lot. So I needed to test and see whether I was going to make it. Like, I was going to manage feeding the birds, caring for them. I wanted also to look at the mortality rate, how many am I going to lose. Of course, as a business person, I was also having, two sides of the coin. I knew that challenges are going to happen. I might lose the flock. So how is everything going to be? And so along the way, I started, brooding, and brooding was really fun. My first sign that I knew that I was made to do poultry farming, I had 0 deaths during brooding. 0 deaths, and I told God that if you help me brood these birds and I don't lose them, I will know that I'm, destined to be a farmer. That was just a prayer, but it came to pass. We did the brooding. I showed you a video, me taking 3 nights inside this house, brooding the hens, brooding the chicks, making sure they survive. And they did survive, and since then they grew up very well. We did the vaccination, and so I was like, now the laying time, when it comes, I'm going to judge. Once they start laying and they all lay and they lay very well, I will know that guys, it takes faith to be able to start a certain business and be able to consistently and continuously do it. And so they started laying, and I'm telling you, they laid very well, very, very well. If you've been watching the videos, you see that I've been sharing the journey, how it has been, and they laid very well. We started getting money, getting customers, and so along the way, as I was still brooding, after brooding, I realized that this is possible. Then I had to put in an order for more hens, and they brought more. And so we have two batches apparently, and all of them are doing well, except a few challenges that happen. Just like you see, in every business there is a challenge. Now, like apparently we are in a very hot season. It's not supposed to be a hot season, but it's for some reason very hot, and so delaying the production is a little bit struggling. But I can tell you that it's really a good thing to do poultry farming. Why am I bringing this story to you? Maybe you have done your savings and you are waiting, or you asking what, or you are trying to do research here on YouTube on what you can invest in your money, what you can do, and probably you are thinking about poultry farming. This video is meant to encourage you that your dream can actually turn into a reality. But my encouragement is start small, start with what you can, because I learned some basics about poultry farming from rearing turkeys, because they're not so much different from hens, so I got some I had to see the chicks, I had to see how they lay, I learned some behaviors, and those few things helped me as I joined the farming of layers. So if you have a dream, you want to do something, let's start. Don't procrastinate. If you keep postponing, if you keep thinking I will do, and you prioritize your fears, eventually you will not do it, and you will not be a successful person. Successful people, one thing I've come to realize, they take risks, especially in business. They take risks, they calculate them, and then they be able to overcome. So please take that risk. Come 2026, bring the birds and start rearing them. Grow, learn, and multiply. Just to scale smart, and God will help you to do your dream business. I believe you found something helpful in my story. If that is so, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and have a beautiful time.